There are going to be days when you just walk into the gym and you realize that today is just not your day. You're tired, your body feels heavy, and maybe you didn't get enough sleep the night before. And in that moment, you might start questioning if it is still worth it to train. I've had plenty of those days myself, especially the days when I didn't get enough sleep. It's frustrating because you still want to stay consistent, but your body isn't giving you the energy that it did earlier in the week. And this is where people make one of two mistakes. They either push through like nothing is wrong and completely burn themselves out, or they skip the session entirely and lose all their momentum. Neither of those options is smart. So in this video, I want to show you a better way. How to train intelligently even when you have low energy. Because it's not about going all out every day. It's about learning how to adjust so you can still move forward without breaking yourself down. Before we talk about how to train on those days, we first need to understand why these days happen. It's not always about feeling lazy or unmotivated. Sometimes it can just be that your recovery system is off. For me, my biggest culprit is when I have a lack of sleep. If I have less than 6 hours of sleep, I feel it immediately. My strength drops, my focus drops, and my motivation also takes a big toll. But it's not just about sleep. It can be about stress, poor nutrition, dehydration. All of these things add up. Even your life outside the gym plays a big role. But the mistake that most lifters make is thinking that every bad workout means they're losing progress. That's not true. Training performance naturally fluctuates. It's part of the process. Your goal isn't to feel 100% every single day. Your goal is to learn how to operate even on the days when you're at 60%. And that shift in the mindset is what separates people that stay consistent and people that fall off. So what usually happens on those low energy days? You come in, you feel tired, but then your pride takes over, so you push through that tiredness. You load up the same heavy weight as last time. You start the first set, and halfway through, in your mind, you know this isn't gonna go well. But you push through anyway, and when you complete the set, you're completely drained. And the next day, you wake up sore, exhausted, and unmotivated to go back. That's the cycle that kills your consistency. But skipping the session altogether isn't the solution either. Because when you start to miss one day, you might end up missing another day and another day. And that's how the cycle continues. And that's how you lose momentum. So the answer isn't more training or not training at all. It's about adjustment. You still show up, but you train smart. And that's what I'll break down next. How to actually do that. On these days, I drop my weight by 20 to 30%. So instead of chasing numbers, I rather completely focus on form and control. If I was supposed to do 60 kg, now I would do 45 kg, but just with a more slow and controlled pace. And here's the thing, those lighter days is where your technique actually starts to become better. You learn how to actually feel the muscle working, the stretch and the squeeze, and how to move it properly. Think of it as a technical day instead of a heavy day. You're still reinforcing the movement pattern. You're still getting your blood pumped. You're still doing the work. But you're not going so heavy that you will end up wrecking your recovery. If your usual plan is to do 5 exercises, maybe this one, do 3. If your normal session is 90 minutes, maybe you can halve that, make 45 minutes. That's not weakness. That's being strategic with your workout plans. Because when you train smart on your low energy days, you make it possible for you to train well on the good days. And that brings us to something that most people underestimate: momentum. Momentum is what keeps you consistent long term. Once you start missing a workout, it becomes much harder to go back and find your rhythm again. But when you show up, even if it's a lighter and shorter session, you still keep that physical and mental habit alive. And that's how true consistency is built. It's not from the perfect workouts that you complete when you are full of energy. It's from the imperfect ones when you still do the work even when you don't feel like it. Every time you show up, you reinforce the identity of someone who still trains no matter what. And that identity is what keeps you progressing, even when motivation comes and goes. But sometimes the line between smart adjustment and going too far can get blurry. So how do you know when to ease off completely and when to push through? Low energy doesn't mean you should rest, but it's also not something to ignore. Here's how I think about it. If you're just tired, Just make adjustments and train. If you're exhausted, you rest. The best way to know is to check your recovery habits. Ask yourself these questions. Did I sleep enough this week? Did I eat properly? Am I hydrated? Is my strength dropping across multiple sessions? If your answer is yes to most of these questions, then your body is asking for recovery. That's when rest becomes productive and not lazy. But when you're feeling sluggish from a long day or a short night of sleep, that's not a reason to rest completely. That's a reason to adapt. Because those are the sessions that build the mental side of fitness. They prove that you can stay disciplined even when conditions aren't perfect. And when you learn to handle those days correctly, you start to realize that there are different levels of low energy. Not every tired day feels the same, so you have to treat them differently. Level 1 is minor fatigue. You might feel a little tired, but you're still okay. Train normally. Just dial your focus up and your ego down. Drop the weight slightly, but keep your form correct. Level 2 is moderate fatigue. You might start feeling sluggish or mentally drained. This is where you lower your weight by 20 to 30%. Stick to compound lifts, limit your total volume, but still focus on proper form. Level 3 is severe fatigue. You completely run down. You have zero motivation or even a lack of sleep for a couple of days. In this case, skip the heavy weights. Do about 20 to 30 minutes of movement. That can be light mobility work, stretching, or body weight workouts. The key idea is to do something, because even a light session maintains your rhythm, and that rhythm creates progress. And if you notice that those low energy sessions are happening too often, it's time to look a bit deeper. Not at your training, but how you're recovering. If your energy keeps showing up low, it's not a motivation problem or a discipline problem. It's a recovery problem. Start with sleep, because sleep is the foundation of your entire performance system. One extra hour of sleep can completely change your strength, focus, and drive. Then look at your nutrition. If you're under eating, especially on protein, your body simply doesn't have the fuel to grow and recover. Make sure that you are eating enough to support your workload, not just surviving off of caffeine and willpower. And finally, pay attention to stress. When your mind is overloaded, your body starts to follow that. Even if your training is perfect, constant stress will keep your recovery limited. The goal isn't to eliminate bad days, because they will always happen. The goal is to make them manageable. When sleep, food, and recovery are in check, those low energy sessions become rare instead of a routine. And that's where the real growth happens, not just physically, but mentally. The biggest benefit when you're training on low energy isn't physical, it's mental. You are proving to yourself that you don't need ideal conditions to still put in the work. You're showing up because it's actually part of who you are, not just because you feel like it. That's where real discipline comes from. Every time you adjust instead of quitting, you build patience. Every time you show up despite feeling off, you build resilience. And those qualities spill into every other area of your life. Because when you stop waiting to feel ready, that's when you start becoming consistent. And when you have that mindset, that's when your nutrition and your results and your recovery start to fall in place. You become the person you want to be by pushing through the times you want to quit.